Each generation grows up with something that defines them, which is what makes them so unique than the next. These differences end up being the causes for them to clash with other generations. In 2017, social issues are something that greatly define our world today. From baby boomers to Generation X, Y, and eventually millennials, the world has changed so much that no generation is like the other. Generational differences aren't only present in things like parenting, but they're very present when it comes to other things, such as politics. Politics are defined by generations and the government's attempt at adjusting to the likes of its people. Back in the prime of the baby boomers generation, legalization of marijuana may have seemed far-fetched and outrageous. But in the millennials' world, it seems like something that is eventually going to happen in all of the United States. Social issues today, in today's world, is one of the biggest dividers when it comes to generations. The views of each generation is so widely different that it causes it to be difficult when deciding on how the world should be run. In order to get a first-hand look on the differences in generations, I sat down with Rosa Medina, an 18-year-old senior who lives in Wesley Chapel, Florida, and attends Wesley Chapel High School. She mentioned how generational differences affect her personally, especially when it came down to social issues. And I quote, "I was born in 1998 and my mother was born in 1960. We disagree all the time, but I think it also has to do with how she was raised in Peru and I was raised in the United States despite being born in Peru." Unquote. Rosa, like many other millennial teens, face similar situations since their parents tend to be from around the end of the baby boomer generation to the beginning of Generation X. Regarding stances around social issues, millennials are the ones who are most likely to adapt, to change, and believe in doing things for the greater good. This is seen when Rosa mentioned how her and her mother disagree on the subject of women's health care, and I quote, "Women's health care such as birth control and whether it should be free or not. She believes it shouldn't be, and I am the total opposite and believe it should be." Unquote. On the other hand, baby boomers and sometimes those in Generation X believe in the standard way of doing things and don't always agree with the new changes brought to them. Rosa added to this by saying, quote, "We usually fight a lot on things that have to do with women and how they should behave and act. I think her generation grew up being more conservative and reserved, while I grew up being more open-minded with a kind of out-of-the-box mindset." Unquote. However different the generations may be, each one has something in common. The struggles and triumphs that each generation has brought has helped shape the world into what it is today. They're the shapeshifters of society because they are society.